Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Body Slam. Body Slam. I'm so messed up with shows this week. Welcome back to Retro Life for You. My name is Chris, and I am completely
Yeah,
messed up tonight.
body
What can I
slam.
say?
Ah,
Oh
ah.
my gosh. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Marty, about we did an old podcast a long time ago, and it was a wrestling podcast when I was younger, and we were talking about it. So it's stuck in my head tonight. But Retro Life for You, that's what we're doing tonight, people.
Mhm,
They expect nothing
exactly.
less. They expect nothing less of me these days, I guess.
Yeah,
We're doing some extra content for y'all tonight, and we're doing some TV work. And tonight we're going to talk about a show that Marty and I both watched when we were younger, and that we really loved. And we picked
yep.
back up on it recently. You can find it
Oh,
on the Roku channel if you want. That's where have been watching it at, and I'm sure it's probably in other places as well. But the show is called Voyagers, and it's about, I want to say, time travel and history
mhm,
is the biggest part about it, and it's about righting the wrongs or fixing things that are messing up through history to make sure history goes through correctly and all. It's very fun to watch, and it had a great cast. And speaking of the great cast, we have one of the members of the cast with us tonight. Actually, one of the stars of it. I'm gonna bring him on now, so bear with me just one moment. And Meeno, there we go. Meeno Peluce, thanks for coming on the show with us tonight, man.
yeah.
You forgot about my 5 seasons on Body Slam.
I tell you, I told him, I said, these people who listen expect nothing less of me to screw up somewhere during the time I'm on. I mean, I was just talking with my friend about this earlier, and that was just come on. Body Slam the Competition was the name of the podcast. And it was in my head, and I'm like, leave it to me to open my mouth and put my foot in there right at the start of the show. But hey, I could have said, stop, let's do this again. But
No,
people,
you have to
Yeah,
stay true
you
to
gotta
the
roll with it.
that's what I'm saying. The people love this stuff, man. They love this, so they love to make fun of me sometimes because I make fun of everybody else on the show.
it's
We
one take, Chris. Come on.
That's right. Well, we have another co-host who's not able to be with us during the week. We usually do stuff on the weekends, and I'm always giving him all kinds of grief. So it just comes back around. That's basically
Mm,
what it is. So it's all good though. It's okay. I can deal with it. I'm a
Karma
big.
is your friend.
I'm a big.
Embrace it.
yeah, exactly.
I'm a big boy.
You spin
Uh,
your dharma well, and it'll all work out.
I know. I know. Man, you were in a lot of great stuff when I was younger. You popped up in a lot of TV shows I loved for sure.
Those were shows we all loved, right?
Right.
Mhm,
And it just seemed like back then, I mean, it's fun. It's funny. You could watch, I know you were in the 18 for an episode, but you could watch the 18, for example, right? And you'll see one of the henchmen on there who has been the same henchman in 4 other episodes on the 18, probably. And yet you saw him on Knight Rider, you saw him on Airwolf, you saw him on like Simon and Simon, possibly, or Magnum PI. They were everywhere, all over the
Uh,
place.
all right, wait. I'm gonna give you a great visual, um, because that was kind of a heyday of television, right?
Hmm.
So I did this other series before Voyagers called Best of the West,
Yes.
and we shot on Paramount, and it was written and produced by all the people who did Taxi, and they were obviously geniuses.
Right.
And our set was right next door to theirs, right? So not only like can you just go over and watch them rehearsing Taxi, and that was great, but
Yeah.
then I had a little motorhome right out in front that was my classroom, right? Because I got to go back to school between all the rehearsals.
Right.
So, like, if I'm standing out there taking some sun, here comes Robin Williams. Here comes, bosom buddies. I mean, it was all just the flow walking over to the commissary. Those were those heydays.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to be. I would imagine if you were a fan, also, it had to be almost surreal just to be out there and see these people come by on a daily basis and
Well,
be able to watch them and all.
all right. So picture this, right? I'm this little kid, 6 years old. I want to be an actor. I'm really pushing my mom. I want to do this. I want to do this. She says, "You're too young. You're too young." I get a play at school. I don't tell her about it. They call to say, "Can he stay late for rehearsals?" She says, "Rehearsals for what?" So, so she says, "All right, if you wait till you're 7, you can give it a try." A couple weeks after my 7th birthday, which is now what, 49 years back from today. I go to an agent. I got the agent. All of a sudden, here I am in a trash can. I've just spent hours in the makeup trailer, right? I'm excited. This is a big deal. I'm finally gonna get to do my thing. And what's the first experience of being on set? Just standing in the makeup trailer for hours. Mm-hmm. Now, the next thing that happens is the top gets pulled off the trash can, and one of my heroes, Starsky, he's yanking me out of there. And he's yanking me out. It hurts. Right? But I know I'm an actor and this is make believe and I've just got to deal with it. And there I am, and I got to have this, tremendously emotional moment with Starsky and Hutch. Like, I'm a kid in the 70s. I watched Starsky and Hutch.
Right.
And here I am, and like the thing you don't want to do is cry in front of them. But then I realized, oh no, that's what I'm supposed to do in the scene. So I get to cry, and it hurts anyway. And it was, talk about surreal. So as soon as you're like dipped by the heels into that river of that, you very quickly realize, oh, well, these are just other people, other artists, other folks who are doing craft and doing make-believe as an everyday job.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of like where we live here. We're both about 30 minutes down the road from Nashville. If you go into Nashville at any given time, you're going to see several country music stars probably in the downtown area. It's a good possibility.
Sure.
Several of them own bars down there that they do go into and frequently. And then some of them you may see out of the blue at one of the original bars down there called Tootsie's. They may pop in there and do a set for free, just play.
And this is the interesting thing about celebrity. So of course I have, over my career, worked a lot with celebrity, right? Mm-hmm. I never really did celebrity from my point of view, but I have interfaced with celebrity. I've created celebrity for others. And so I've been defining what that is all my life, because I know it's just other people, right?
Right.
But it's this celebratable quality in somebody. And we as human beings, we love to go to the human zoo and just check out other human beings. So people who have a talent that is worth celebrating, that have some uncanny ability to do something magical that is great for us to watch at that zoo, they should be celebrated. That's fine. Yeah. And then when you sit down with them, they're just folks.
When I first started doing this particular podcast, I'm not going to lie, the first couple of people I managed to get on here, I fanboyed out. It's just, I couldn't help it, because one of the first ones was Catherine Mary Stewart, and I love The Last Starfighter, one of my all-time favorite movies. And so I'm like, I got, and the second time was her again, but the first time she was on, it was just talking about her career in general. But the second time she brought Lance Guest with her, and that was The Last Starfighter. I'm fanboying out. I'm talking my favorite movie with the 2 stars of the movie. And if you see behind me up there on the wall, I got them to autograph a poster for me. That's just made my lifetime probably. But yeah, you get used to. I mean, it's like now I'm kind of used to it. It doesn't. It's not like I don't appreciate and think it's cool, because I still do. I still love it. It's cool as can be, bringing you guys on and talk and everything, and asking you questions and talking about the shows you were on or movies you're in or wherever it may be. It's definitely calmed down a little bit for me though. And going to the Comic Cons also helps a little bit. I get to meet people at Comic Cons. Like I told you, I met your sister at the Comic Con in Nashville a few weeks ago. Very cool person, very nice. And met a ton of others over the last 3 years. It's been great.
And just folks, right?
Now, have you ever hit the Comic Con scene yourself?
No. I did one celebrity autograph thing a few years ago, when a guy got in touch and said, "Hey, would you be interested? Because I want to get together the original kids from the Amityville Horror."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh wow, that would be great, because for 3 months we made that movie, and so for 3 months they were my brother and sister, and because you have to picture, like, when you're a kid on set, there's time where you're on set and you're doing your thing as your character, right? But the rest of the time, you're in the little schoolroom they've set up. You're being kids. And so if it's just 3 kids hanging out, like, yeah, we became brothers and sisters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen them since. So it was really fun to have that weekend with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And then I've just a guy just got in touch, and he wants to do a reunion of the Bad News Bears. So
That's awesome right there. Everybody loved the Bad News Bears.
come on, who didn't,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Marty, me and Marty were talking before you popped on. Marty has an excellent idea for you. It's awesome. It just can't get any better. I mean, they've already done it with something else, but Marty, I don't want to ruin your fun. Just let it rip.
Well, yeah, a reboot of Voyagers with Meeno.
He said you can be the new lead
Yeah,
Voyager.
you could be the new main Voyager, and then
Right.
you can bring on Peacock needs to pick it up. NBC still owns the rights, so Peacock is the streaming service of NBC. So
Hey, listen, come on, it would be so popular, right?
it
I
would.
think I would love it.
wouldn't. No, I'd love it. So
Yeah.
I mean,
All right,
we've
let me tell you something about that show real quick, right?
Mhm.
Great idea for a show. History, real history, with a twist, right? We're going back and forth through history, setting it right where it's going off track. Like, that's a great teaching tool in and of itself, in
Mhm.
that you don't just get the history, but what's wrong with this history and what should it be, and then how do we get it back? That's just an interesting way to cement historical knowledge in people's minds. You got
exactly.
great costumes, great sets, great characters every week, like all these fantastic new actors coming on and doing all these guest starring things. And we only went 2 seasons. Why? We were an expensive show on Sunday against 60 Minutes, the #1 show in America.
But what kid's gonna watch 60 Minutes over Voyager? I know I didn't.
Right. So we were the victim of what was called the second TV syndrome, right? So we had a giant following, tons of fan mail. The producers knew the show was incredibly popular, but it wasn't showing up in the Nielsen ratings. We always looked from the bottom to find where we were each week, because again, the main TV in the house that had the Nielsen box on top of it was in the living room with the parents, and the kids were in the rec room watching the second TV.
Dude, I was watching it on black and white.
Wow,
That's
there you go.
I had my own little 13-inch black and white TV in my room, and my parents were in there watching whatever they were watching, but I tuned in every Sunday
Right.
to watch Voyagers. So
Now, just to bring up real quick, you said 2 seasons. Now, I'd spent such a long time since I've seen it. I didn't remember how many seasons it went. I guess Roku only has 1 season, 20 episodes. It's
I
up
think
right
they
now.
broke
No,
it. I
that's
think
2
they
seasons.
broke it down.
Oh, that is
So,
both seasons.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the first season was just 20 episodes in, because
No,
I
we
guess it's
did-
kind of
The way you do it, right? You do the pilot
Mhm.
in pilot season, and then you wait to see if it gets picked up.
Mhm.
And when it gets picked up, it was typically, back then, a season was 13 episodes.
okay.
And then you'd wait to see if you got picked up for a second season. And then we did, maybe, if there's only 22 shows, we didn't do a full second season then. And again, it was expensive.
Yeah, 13 episodes. That explains a lot to me now. There's several other shows I liked when I was younger that went only 13 episodes. Funny enough,
Right.
and now that you say that, that makes
exactly.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
1 season.
How did you land the role of Jeffrey Jones?
All right, this is a good story. Ready?
Mhm.
As with many big shows, you go to a casting that's like a cattle call, right? It's just a lot of kids.
Right.
And then they start rounding it down. And so many times I would go to these things and I just would know, like, when I nailed it. So that was a great feeling, and I knew it was good. So they rounded it very quickly down to 2 kids and 2 men. And what was interesting was that the other kid was very different from me, and the other guy was very different than Jon-Erik. He was older. He was more. He was really a Han Solo knockoff of a guy, right?
Okay.
And then the other kid was like bespectacled and kind of nerdy. And then I'm just coming in with my big hair and all this shit. So we both read with the other person first, right? Because you're going into a big room full of all the producers and writers and the heads of the heads of the network, because they're helping make the decision. And so each of us went in with the other person and went well. But then when I came out from doing it with the other guy, the other kid went in with the other guy, and Jon-Erik and I started to rehearse. Instantly, we knew. And we went in there, and this is a scene that like we've done a lot of times now on our own, and now we're doing it, you know, we've rehearsed it outside, but it's still fresh and brand new for us. We run through it once for them, and we just look at each other, and we knew we had nailed it. There was just so much chemistry between us.
Yeah.
It was magical.
And he was a great guy too. A very tragic thing. I mean, I loved watching him in Cover Up as well when he was doing Cover Up, and to hear the the whole thing and what happened and all was really sad and all.
It was super tragic.
Yeah.
He was one of these. I mean, talk about someone worthy of being celebrated, and just a sweetheart of a human being. Very much, there's no star junk about that guy except that he radiated star power. He was great. Yeah.
Yeah. I had read somewhere he was a big practical joker too, and loved to loved to mess around people on the sets and everything. And
all right, so
that's the kind of person you want to play, that you want to act with right there. That's the kind of guy you want.
So here's a great one, right? We're doing a boxing one with who was the boxer?
Joe,
great black boxer, Joe Louis.
Joe Louis.
And so now, I remember it was this early morning. We were out of town on location on some kind of farm that looked like the place where he'd gone off to go start sparring, start his training. And Jon-Erik's got to get in and spar with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jon-Erik gets in the ring, and he's doing his moves, and everyone knows that Jon-Erik is really athletic. But again, he's got to put his Jon-Erik twist on it. So now the camera's rolling. He gets in, and then he feels that spring of the boxing thing, and he just jumps up and pulls a backflip. And why not?
Why not? I mean, if you can do it, pull it off. I mean, improvise.
Yeah, he was so great.
And in that same episode, I love the part where you're all like, we're gonna train him like Rocky Balboa, and they're all like, Rocky who? And they're like, and he's like, Rocky Balboa, Man, I thought that was funny.
Did you have a favorite historical era or episode that you shot?
I really got a great kick out of Spartacus.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun, because that was a lot of costuming and sets, and it was just it enhanced all the make believe. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It looked like it looked like it was a fun thing to shoot, the whole thing. Everything. I've not watched the full 20 yet. I got to the first 11, and then I jumped up to make sure I got seen the trial episode and then the last episode to see, because Marty was like, "You got to watch these two at least for sure."
You got to watch them.
The Spartacus is a lot of fun. Right, so dig this, right? So now it's years later, and I run into the woman who had played who had played Caesar's wife in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to her, "Hey, I knew you at the Colosseum." and she kind of like turns ashen.
What?
No. But she looks really worried. And I said, no, wait, no. Remember, you were on Voyagers, and I was the kid, and we did that. And she says, "Oh, thank goodness. You see, I've spent a lot of time in Rome."
It's just the way you said it, though. It's like she was like, spent a lot of time in Rome.
That was it.
I'm
Yeah,
busy,
so that was
kid.
that show was, and this was what was really cool about that show too, was that, right, so there's this great chemistry between Jon-Erik and I.
Mhm.
And we relied on that, and we would horse around all the time, and that was like, we up until the point where he said action, and then we just turn and start the scene, right? And that was part of what gave that constant chemical boost to the show, because we had so much going on between each other, right?
Mhm.
And each week you'd get a whole new cast of people and a new director. And so, like, the crew stays the same, and Jon-Erik and I stay the same. So we're kind of like the family, and now we're welcoming in these guests to rock and roll with us for a week. And then we'd have to kind of show them, like, well, this is how we fart around. We don't take it real seriously. And it was funny because there were some actors who took things very seriously because that was
Right.
part of their craft.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate that. I would like, okay, I should probably study this, and there's probably something to be learned from these guys. The guy who played Babe Ruth, man, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He just, he just had that quality of a great actor, and who, you're doing a scene with him and you're getting so drawn in, and you just know that, wow, I'm doing some dark magic here, this acting stuff, this is wild. And then of course the guy who played Lincoln, and I'm just feeling like, well, this is cool, I'm hanging out with Lincoln.
Of course, we were talking earlier about the Omni device. They make replicas of them to this day and everything. You can still buy. You know what I'm about to ask?
He's got one. He's got one.
The guy got in touch and said, "Hey, could I send you a gift?" And I said, "Oh man, bum 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 bum."
Yep, there you go.
Nice.
Bum, bum, bum.
So is that one of the replicas they made? Is that what I was talking about? One of those, or is that one that you had from the set or something?
No, this is a guy made this,
Oh,
and I had
made
to tell
it.
him. I had to tell him, like, it's better than any of them we ever had
Wow.
to set.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Look,
It's
something's
like-
wrong.
well made.
Something's wrong.
Something's
It's
wrong.
red.
Yeah.
It's red.
Something's wrong in history.
Wait.
Well, you almost.
I gotta do it like this.
That's what I say. You almost fixed
There's a
it.
secret.
That,
There we
no,
go.
that is cool
There you
though.
go.
They made that.
Oh.
It
Well,
keeps jumping.
and history's a little wacky right now, so there you go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. That is awesome.
And then wait, he even sent along.
Oh, the Voyager handbook. Nice.
Because now you got to remember from the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
He crash lands in 1982 through the
Right.
window of my skyscraper apartment where I'm living with my uncle and aunt who don't want me, but my parents have just died in a car crash. I'm feeling like a turd on the run as a brand new orphan. Here comes this guy crashing through the window, and my dog attacks him. And my dog, the dog's got this in his mouth, and as I'm trying to pull the dog off, I go back out the window. So he turns and he jumps out the window to catch me and hit his Omni, and we go back in time together. And then we're on the banks of the Nile. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's happening. He's trying to explain it to me like we're Voyagers. We go back and forth through history, setting it right where it's going off track. And he's looking for something. I said, "What are you looking for?" And he says, "My guidebook." And I said, "A black book about this big?" My dog's got it.
Yeah, the dog's using it as a chew toy.
and remember, the premise was that his Omni was set to only go up to 1970.
Right.
So he couldn't take me back.
Mm-hmm.
But his guidebook that was supposed to tell him what to do was back in 1982. And the fact that my folks were history professors then comes in handy, because now, although he doesn't have his guidebook and he didn't pay attention in class because he was always flirting with the girls, I'm the one who always figures out what history needs to get fixed.
And see, I find it kind of funny in a way. You get this big show about history and everything, and what did later in life? What'd you go ahead and do when you guys
Oh
at
yeah,
school
I
and
spent
everything.
time as a history teacher. Why not?
Right, right. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Did that kind of encourage you to go in that direction, or did you always like history?
So I was always a good student. And what happened is I went to college after, at a certain age, I kind of just left acting because it just wasn't for me anymore. I wanted to focus on finishing my education, going off to college. I studied literature. I came back to town. What do I do with literature and this lifetime of being on set? Well, I'll be filmmaking. So I started to go toward filmmaking. I got a little sidetracked with photography, and that was wonderful. And I'm just kind of going about my 20s having a great old time when all of a sudden, how does Hemingway say it happens? Gradually and then all at once, I ran out of money because I'd never had a job. I'd always been professional,
Right.
but I never had a job, and I didn't really understand that. And all of a sudden, I needed a job. And someone said, well, you can substitute teach with a college degree. I said, well, let's give that a try. I'd done some teaching in college as part of when I was a senior for the freshmen, and I loved it. And so all of a sudden I was just had this talk about being on stage and having to make up your lines. It was wild going to all these all the kind of the most beat up schools across the city, going to handle classes where the teacher just hadn't shown up. And so there's no lesson plan or anything. And I was good at performing. So I'd get in there and I'd kind of do my shtick and keep the kids focused and entertained and teach them a little something. But then what would happen is that as a substitute teacher like that, you would wind up at different schools and they would keep you. They'd say, listen, can you come back tomorrow? Can you come back tomorrow? Can you stay? And then you kind of become a long-term teacher. And I had done that as a Spanish teacher, although I had only taken, 2 semesters of Spanish. And then at a Hollywood high school, I was the history teacher. And it was pretty profound because now I'm sending kids off to college and they're writing me from college. Like, I'm here at college and it's all your fault. Thanks, pal. And it felt great, right? And I thought, well, I had this moment where it dawned on me, this is a profound thing I'm doing where I'm helping kids. I'm helping the future. I'm helping society. I'm taking my gifts as whatever they are, and they're flowing out of me into other human beings. And that's a great feeling, right?
Right.
But it dawns on me that I should probably actually get a teaching degree because I'm not making any dough at this. And I'm just a kind of live in my 20s, and there's probably a higher calling that I'm supposed to be involved with here. And so I waited out and I said, no, I am supposed to be an artist. That's my life. And so at the end of the semester, I let them know, listen, I'm not coming back. I'm really dedicating myself to my artistry. And right before the next semester started, I sat down for a beer with my buddy who lived in the neighborhood, who was in the history department. He said, we still don't have anyone for your position, but we still need you. And I thought, well, shit, nobody else, I had no one need me in the world, right? My mom needs me, but so I showed back up for the first day of classes. And the woman in the office who was so nice, she says to me, oh, we're so glad to have you back, but you're not the history teacher anymore. And I looked at her and she said, no, now you're the ballet teacher.
How does that work? I mean,
Yeah, really.
So I literally this is the first time, but I really applied to the universe. I said, please tell me why. Why am I here on this gray day in this gray room at this gray moment in my life? Please tell me why. And I turned to leave, and the new art teacher walked in, and I said, oh, that's why. And we've been married 26 years now.
Oh, well, see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Universe
So it
had a
all
purpose.
worked out.
Had a purpose.
It all worked out.
That's awesome. That's like one of them feel good stories right there. That's great. Of all the TV shows you appeared on, other than obviously, you did Best in the West,
Best of the West,
Bad News Bears,
Bears.
Voyagers, and you've been so many other appearances in other shows. I know Starsky and Hutch was one of your your favorites because you were young and it was your first thing you did. But was
First,
there
yeah.
a particular show that you loved the most that you got to appear on?
I got to tell you, Remington Steele was fantastic.
Okay.
Remington Steele was fantastic for a couple of reasons. One, Pierce Brosnan and I had the kind of chemistry together that I'd had with Jon-Erik. You just that thing where you click and now you're playing off each other and it's great.
Mhm.
It was one of the last things I did, so it was fun because I was becoming a young man. So it was more than just being a kid, and I had this great character. I was a thief, and I thought I was savvy, and then he kind of like straightens me out. Like I thought I was cool, like you think you're cool, but listen, you're on the wrong path, and you're a good person, and you shouldn't be doing this. And we shot it downtown. That was just everything about that week of shooting was fantastic. And think about that. Those happen like in weeks of your life. You go spend 8 is enough. It was a show I watched. I was a kid. My parents were divorced. Like the kids on 8 is enough. They were a big part of my family from watching, right? And then I got to go spend a week actually being part of that. That's magic stuff, man. I got to share lollipops with Telly Savalas. That's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what was it?
One of my
What was it?
favorite, one of my favorite appearances was when you were in the. I don't know if it was the pilot episode of The Incredible Hulk, but I know it was called The Bride.
Right.
And
It wasn't the pilot, but so that was a great episode. And I was only like 8 years old. And man, yeah, I'm getting to hang out. Like I'm hanging out with the Hulk. Here's Lou Ferrigno. That's
yeah,
great.
Lou Ferrigno.
Right. And then working with Bill Bixby, he was a great actor and really a sensitive dude. And it was interesting because that little role that was written for me was a powerful role because it was a really dramatic moment for him in the show. And even at that young age, I knew that I was supposed to be learning from these people I was working with and taking by osmosis the lessons of what it means to do these things right. He came years later and directed a couple episodes of Voyagers.
Nice.
And he was one of my favorite directors because he directed from an actor's point of view, right? And really like that tender thing and brought stuff out of us that was powerful. And so that taught me so much as a director in my directorial life of how to really appreciate the person who's on the other side of your camera, how to bring out that magic in them by honoring it and knowing how tender it is at the same time, as a tender thing, but also as a fierce supernova thing.
And you're still doing photography, right?
Photography and filmmaking.
And filmmaking.
Yeah. Look, I'm off to shoot. I'm off to shoot it before the dawn tomorrow. Here's my cool movie camera.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Right. So yeah, I get to play on the backside of the camera now.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I did. Now you did one with your sister, right? Y'all directed and wrote together. I think she was in it, and you had an appearance in it.
So yeah, I got to be on Punky Brewster as again one of the last things I did. It was great.
Right.
They wrote an episode for me to be in with her, and that was profound, Because think about it, when you're a kid, acting is you're just playing, right? Like they say, cut. Do you stop playing? No, you're a kid. You just go out and play. And so even though there's 6 years between us, like we'd always played together. So that was really wonderful to have that moment to do that together. And then in my 20s, she was home from college. I'd already finished college. Now she's off to college. She comes home for spring break, and a buddy of mine that I had just made a tiny little film with, his brother had a production company, and I said, "Oh, yeah, they heard who you are, how I'm connected, and they want to meet you." And she goes and she meets with them. She comes back and she said, "This is great. I told them about my script, and they want to make it. So we got to show them the script. I said, great, let's see it. She said, no. We got to write it this weekend. She and I wrote the script.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And and we went into the whole thing pretty blind, and it was bliss. That was 20 days. It was great, man, because like nothing else was happening in life. We just, every day you get up, you go to the set, and you got to start making decisions. And it's so fun. And it has definitely informed a lot of what I do the rest of my life. Because I still go do make believe all day.
It's a wonderful life. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I often wonder how cool it would be just to do something similar to that, whether it be you're writing or you were on the other side of the camera acting still. If you were somebody who did voiceover work or something, because voiceover work appeals to me. It sounds fun. I always thought it had. So I've often wondered what it would be like, just to lead a life like that. I'm sure it's busy and hectic, but I mean, from what you're used to over the years versus doing something cool like that, I'm sure it'd be a major change and something really cool to get into. For me, from my point of view, I mean, you're already used to stuff like this. So I mean,
again, listen, you guys are makers. It's just being a maker. It's just deciding, I want some stuff to exist in the universe, and I'm not gonna wait for someone else to tell me to do it.
I say that's why I love doing this, because I might not be somebody who's out there starring in a movie or a TV show, but I'm bringing somebody on and putting something on the internet that maybe a fan can go back and watch and say, hey, that's the guy from Voyagers. Oh, that's a cool question they asked. Hey, that's a even funnier answer he gave, and they can look back at that and see these things. And I feel like I'm putting something out there in a way, whether it was something that was super popular or not, it's still there. You can't get rid of it.
Listen, we all have those kernels that we pick up from. We are in a heyday for anyone who's autodidactic, right? Like we can go out and learn things. The internet just allows you to find the teachers that you like. And we all have those kernels of wisdom that we picked up here or there because someone just dropped it along the way. And we said, oh, that one was for me. And I love that.
That's cool. Cool. I got a couple more quick questions for you. I know you got a busy night ahead of you here. So, and a couple quick questions about Voyagers, then we're gonna let you go. Okay.
All right.
So wondering if you could travel through time yourself, like Jeffrey did in Voyagers, where would you go first?
That's really interesting. And it's funny that I haven't ruminated on that before. In that, right? Like if we could time travel, would we go back to some point in our life, right?
Right, anywhere.
I mean, all right. So I love this notion, right? Like that all of us as human beings, there's certain moments that we'd like to relive, or certain things we'd want to fix. But then we realize, oh, man, if you dig the skin you're in right now, which is kind of the key to life, is to enjoy the skin you live in, you realize that you are the product of all your successes and all your mistakes. And when I'm here in this magic world, the Meeno cave downstairs of our great Sky Farm home with my beautiful wife and our great kids, and like, I wouldn't change any mistake I ever made, right?
Because it's all led to that moment.
Exactly.
You don't want to mess that up.
Exactly. And then with regard to like actually going back, and I mean, a lot of my reading takes me back to like Weimar Germany and seeing the wonderful the Berlin, when it was just, this is some of my reading right now. I got Berlin Shuffle teed up and some other pieces, and so that would be great. Certainly the ancients. I mean, what would it be like to walk through an ancient world, right? An ancient Rome. I mean, I got to pretend that stuff, but
right.
But so here's the thing, right? Like my wife and I, we're great travelers, and drug our kids all over the world. And so you go to places like Mexico and I mean, not parts of Mexico, but India and Morocco and other parts of the Far East where the ancient culture that once was exists simultaneously with modern culture. And it's incredible. You know, it's there in the patina of the walls, the bullet holes, and the places where javelins were thrown off of the tops of forts. And you can go experience that stuff. Oh, wait, here's a great one. Let me tell you this one. Ready?
Mhm.
We took the kids when my daughter turned 14, like, where do you want to go? You turn 14, anywhere you want to go. And mind you, we'd brought them up traveling all over exotic locales. And she says, Paris. I thought, Paris? Well, that's not so exotic. But all right, we hadn't done Europe as a family. And we went and it was great, right? And then my wife, who's this fabulous designer of all our travels, found a cheap ticket home out of Germany. And so she said, look, we can leave Paris and then we can go on this, we can take the river down the Rhine, and there's all old castles. And she just knew the kids would dig that. And sure enough, we're playing in these ancient castles. And what are they doing? They're playing Harry Potter, right? Like they're in heaven.
Right.
So like you can time travel still in this day and age is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I've been to several old forts in my lifetime and seen where it'd been a part. There's one in Gulf Breeze, Florida, and I want to say at one point it housed Geronimo in one of the cells, and you're actually standing there. It could have been any one of the cells that were there. Of course, it's not all in one piece anymore, but like there's no bars where the cells were or anything like that. But you could stand there and go, this could be the very place where he was housed at or something, and I'm standing here. Or the cannons that are up there facing toward the river where boats may have been coming down to attack the fort. You might have been standing where they shot cannons at the oncoming ships and everything. Stuff like that's really cool. You just think about it while you're there, you're placing yourself in that moment, and just it feels different.
It does.
It's
It does.
pretty cool.
It allows for that part of your brain to do the shuffle of creativity. Like what would all the pieces be? And your brain really is good at dreaming them up.
Right. Well, if Voyagers, last one for you here, if Voyagers had gone forward, now that I've seen the last episode before we had this tonight, and I see that Drake came back, I had completely forgotten all of this. It's been so long. I couldn't find Voyagers forever on, and now that you got all these free apps and you get these days, everything is coming out now again. So I'm watching this last episode and Drake is back in it, and you're in the area where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is doing the whole Sherlock Holmes bit, and you get Jack the Ripper supposedly, and then Drake disappears again. He takes off. So it leaves it open for more future stuff to come.
Well,
Where do you think
they were great writers? They knew they.
Yeah, but where do you think it may have went to from there? If 60 minutes was not a problem at that time for y'all, and it went forward, how long do you think it may have gone? And what direction do you think other historical places the next season might have taken you to?
Oh, who knows, man? I mean, Jim Perriott was the guy really sailing that ship. That was his baby, and he had such a vibrant imagination. So I mean, you pick any history book and you just open the page and you start telling stories.
Exactly.
It could have gone anywhere. Because it was such an easy format to do that with. And then the trick, of course, was picking like 2 or 3 time zones to go through in any given show, and how would you write some corollary, right? Like when we went to ancient Egypt and met Cleopatra, but had to get her out of there because we were all going to get speared. And so we grab her and we hit the button and it shoots us off and lands us in the Roaring '20s in New York. And Cleopatra's like, this is for me. This is where I belong. I love this. And we lose her. Right. And she's hanging out, work her way up the whole mob stratosphere. I mean, that was the genius of that show, is that you could tell stories like that.
Yeah. And then one of my favorite lines that she said was, when she's talking to Mark Anthony. She goes, "Don't ever call me Toots." I was like,
Oh, toots. All right. Well, look, we know you got a busy night ahead of you, man. It's your birthday. Happy
It's my
everybody
birthday. I
tell him
gotta
happy
go celebrate.
birthday. Everybody wish Meeno happy
Happy
birthday
birthday.
when you watch this.
Thank you.
We hope you have a great night and enjoy yourself. But we thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us and just reminisce about this show and everything and
It
talk.
was a lot of fun.
We were very glad to have you on. So
Wanna come say
enjoy
hi?
your night.
I got a lovely lady right here, ready to go take me
Hey.
out.
See, she's like, come on.
All right, thank you guys so much for having me. A lot of fun.
All right, and thank you for coming on again. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that's Meeno Peluce. We're talking Voyagers and a little bit else, Voyagers, like I said, is one of my all-time favorites. Mine and Marty's both, and it's really just, man, I don't know. It's just great to talk about it and reminisce about it from someone who's actually been on the show, that could tell you behind the scenes things and give you great stories and all. Talk about Jon-Erik Hexum that he co-starred with and everything. It was awesome.
There was only one thing that I wanted to ask him about was, all the stars that he starred with, through those episodes. The one thing that I missed was, Jonathan Frakes, and I don't know if you noticed it, but in the witch trial episode, the main girl that was causing all the trouble, that was Shannon Doherty.
Okay, I wondered when I watched it. I was like, she looks like a young Shannon Doherty, and I was like, well, could it be because
that was Shannon Doherty?
Back in that time, she had been on Little House on the Prairie as well, and kind of reminded me of her from that time, from that show in a way. I'm glad you brought that up and said that, because that answers that question for me. And it was wondering in my mind if that was legit or not. That me thinking that. So
yeah, that was her.
And I never remember to go back and look it up or anything. I forgot to do that. So I'm glad you thought about that and brought that up. That's cool. I know in the last episode, Julia Duffy was on, and she was somebody from the Newhart show, I believe.
Yeah, Newhart. Yeah,
popular in Newhart. So I mean, yeah, there was a lot of great people come on. Lance Legault was on there for an episode. He was Colonel Decker in the A-Team. He was on for a bit. He's been in some movies as well. He was in Iron Eagle, as one of the generals in Iron Eagle that was on the little board at the end that was going to judge the people, the two main characters for doing what they did. He was in that. Right. So,
the one guy that played Abraham Lincoln, even Meeno said something about him.
His name was John Anderson, I believe.
Yeah, John. Yeah, he's got that recognizable face.
You know who he looks like? Where I think I've seen him at. He looks like the guy that played MacGyver's grandfather.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
He was hairy.
He was hairy. Yeah.
I thought. See, I got one on you. You got one on me. Then we're good.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you guys like the episode tonight with Meeno in here, please drop us some comments in the video here. And like I said, wish Meeno happy birthday. We'll take a screenshot of it and send it to him and everything, and so he can get a kick out of that and all. Catch us on Facebook and on Instagram at Retro Life for You, just like on YouTube, youtube.com/at Retro Life for You, and you can see all of our videos and stuff on there and listen to things. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, pretty much anywhere you get your audio podcast, you'll find the regular podcast on. This is not a regular podcast, by the way. This is extra content. We're starting to do more extra content for the YouTube channel only. That's not a part, because the audio podcast is just movies. So, but the YouTube channel is going to spread out to other things. I've been talking about this for a while and trying to get it going. And
TV, music.
Yeah, Marty's off during the week, whereas Travis is only off on the weekend. So Marty's available during the week. We can do some extra content stuff sometimes, and we get some more coming for you guys that you're going to enjoy as well. So, but thanks everybody who did listen tonight. And once again, with YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell at the top so you get notifications.
Yeah, hit that bell. Hit that bell.
Hit that bell. Ring that bell.
Hit that bell. Hit that bell.
And if you haven't followed us already, shame on you. Let's get to it. What's taking so long? Come on.
Exactly.
All right. Marty, thanks for being on tonight. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I know.
Man, I had a blast.
Yeah,
and
the fact he had the Omni we were talking about.
Yes,
that was awesome.
And it actually blinked. It blinked.
And he won up this with the book. So hey, that was even better. Even better. So
exactly.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for being here this week, Marty. Thanks for being on again, and we'll see you on the next episode.